All right. Yep. Awesome. Okay. Okay. Whenever you're ready, we'll let me to just put a line here. We stopped in and we go on a bit.
Yeah, I think a lot of sleep.
I haven't been here since he was like
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've been here since that was it. Yeah, I think the last time they changed it.
No, 22 years ago. Yeah, it's early 2000s.
I see by the window on a cold, cloudy day, when I saw the birds come rolling for to carry my father's babe. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home waiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Well, I went back home, home was lonely, for my father, he was gone. All my family there was crying, for our home felt sad and alone. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home waiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Undertaker, 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 won't you please rise for our brother? You are hauling, Lord, I hate to see you go. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, oh, by and by? There's a better home waiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. There's a better home waiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky.
All right, welcome everyone to Catbirds on this very lovely afternoon. I did not know Houston could be so pretty for us, so I'm so glad. For those of you who I may not have met yet, or who may remember me being much smaller, my name is Blair Alt. I am Brooke's daughter. Jim is my stepdad. And yeah, I lost my place. Oh, there we go. All right, Jim, keep me on track. Okay. Also, quick thing. This is just going to help me. Just so you know, the drink of the day is a Jim and Coke. There you go. You're doing it right. And we are at a bar, so you absolutely should feel free to make sure you always have something in your glass, because what we're going to do today is we're going to share memories. We're going to have some music. This is my partner, Austin Spolvido. He's very talented. And if you would like to come up here and say something, we have note cards and things. If you would like to not get up here and say something, but you have something you'd like to share, we have note cards and we'll read these for you. We also have lovely tissues. Thank you to sisters, oh my gosh, I can't say words. Thank you for the assist. There it is. So we need to dry our eyes. But truly, we are here to celebrate. I know his name was James Douglas Wright, but truly, he was such a gem. Also, Coogs, which, not gonna lie, I feel like we've got some spiritual assistance headed into tomorrow night. So thank you, Jim. But we're here together. We're here together to share our memories, our feelings. We may have some feelings that we'll pause. We'll have those feelings together. We also have a live stream, so we have some guests that I'm waving to right now because we live in 2025. And if for some reason you become overcome, we're going to post this to YouTube so you can revisit these memories. But truly, we are in a place where trivia brought so many wonderful people together. And I know that even I think I was the youngest trivia member of the National Trivia Network, thanks to my mom. But truly, this bar, I love that she referred to it as a destination trivia bar. But that's truly because this group of people who played here back in the 90s and early thousands, y'all fucking rocked it. And I know that there will be memories of all the winnings and all the things. But I just wanted, I guess, if anything, to say we're here to honor Jim, but we have lost other players who are not joining us in this game for this afternoon. So as we're remembering Jim, we can remember everyone, and we'll be raising again. Make sure your glasses are filled because we will be toasting and raising our glasses a lot. But I think that is how all the hosting remarks that I will be doing, because now we're going to hear a little bit from folks who knew Jim before. We're going to hear from folks who knew Jim before he was a trivia player. So if I could invite the Wright family, whatever you would like to come and share with us, come on up.
Okay, Dad, why don't you join that? Can you do that? I said, I'll join that.
Just so you know, I'm a mushball, and what I have to read to you guys, first let me thank you guys for all coming. I appreciate you guys. Jim cherished everything he did with all you guys, and I appreciate all of you because he loved what you guys did. And he was so smart, and I used to joke about he was so smart that he was in Mensa, but he would cross-thread the toothpaste cap. He wasn't very mechanically inclined, and I'm very mechanically inclined. Anyway, regardless, I love Jim, and I appreciate you guys coming up for him. I'm here with my wife, Kathleen. Kathleen, we've been married for 32 years. 32, 33, I don't know.
You thought 31, asshole. Hey, go.
Regardless.
Just sentimental.
Glad you guys are all here. I want to read you something that I read to my brother on his deathbed. And I'm trying to cry, but I'm going to read it. It's from my daughter. It means a lot to me.
You're singing me, please.
Let me find him again. My brother, he'd been fighting his life for 17 days in ICU. And my daughter, I want to say all my kids, I have 6 children. I have 4 boys and 2 girls. All of them felt the same way. And that's why I want to read this to you, because it means, it kind of shows what Jim's about. Jim is a good guy. He's such a good guy.
Gentle giant, honey.
Gentle giant. So I'll read this to you. I'm trying to cry, but read it.
You're 6 kids, 21 grandchildren. It's going to take a while to look at that guy there.
All right, this is from my daughter. Because I'm so sad, I felt a special connection with him. Really hopes he turns around miraculously. I'm sorry. Are you there with him? I said, yes. He said, can you tell him that I love him? I said, sure. I'm so sad he's so sick. I said, we all are. He's been fighting for 17 days in the ICU. I hate getting presents. I have so much anxiety around receiving gifts because I don't want the other person to feel bad if I don't like it and don't know how to lie. My daughter. When I was a kid, he always gave me the best gifts. He gave me a World Atlas. He gave me a paper airplane book, electronic card game device. He got me the first fancy perfume I've ever had, and which is the only perfume I buy now. My daughter said, and so and I love how smart he is and how kind he is. Can you tell him he's my favorite? And I love him. Dad, I'm so sad. I've always felt like such a weirdo in my family, but I felt like he and I belong together. And I really wish I've been busy and all this time. Thank you. I said, that means a lot to people. And did you tell him I love him? I said, yes. She said, is Brooke there? I said, is she okay? And I said, yes, but sad. She says, poor Brooke. I'm sorry, Dad. Glad he's not in pain. Selfishly, I wish he was still here. I love you, Dad. I love you too. I read what you wrote to him, and I hope he heard us. Blair revered his gifts too. Yeah, the gifts. And so, also, my daughter, Rhiannon, my friend in the synagogue, got wind of Jim's death and had our congregation say a very special prayer. It's called the Mourner's Prayer. It was very emotional and wonderful. And she told people all the nice things I told her about him and put his photo up. I got to parade the Torah on his behalf, which means I took the scroll of the Bible and walked around with it. Sounds silly to you probably. I'm not a very religious person myself.
I'm atheist.
Sounds silly to you probably, but it was lovely to honor him in such a way. So, all my children revered him and loved him. And he always gave them great gifts, and I want to dearly miss that man. And everybody here is going to miss him, and I love him with all my heart, and he's my big brother. Thank you.
We have one more right family member.
Oh, here we go. His oldest nephew. He has 6 nieces and nephews and 21 great nieces and nephews.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sean, his oldest nephew, Uncle Jim. I was just going to tell you all a couple cool stories. Uncle Jim got to watch us a handful of times, and me and my little brother Jake would go over to his apartment, and I think when he worked at the Houston Chronicle, he was on call, so he had to go downtown Houston here, and he took me and him downtown to the Houston Chronicle building. I forget how many stories it is, but he would be working, and he'd let me and my brother just roam like a whole floor. So I was probably 10, Jake was probably 6. So you have to imagine this before cameras and stuff. So we're just rummaging through all of the employees' dads, going into the break room, just literally running around the Houston Chronicle. And so it was funny. Back then we didn't know, but now I know. He would say, "Hey, I'm going to be working up," because you had to go up and down the elevators to get to the places. But he would say, "Hey, I'm going to be working on the 13th floor. Go to the elevator and go to the 13th floor. That's where I'll be. If I'm not there, go to the 8th floor." But there's not a 13th floor in the thing, so we went to go try to find him. We're looking for 13, but we forgot about the floor, so we literally were going down up. See, kind of a trivial thing that he messed with there. When we were at his apartment, his apartment was really, 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 really cool for younger kids. That's where me and my brother, we top drawer, we found a stack of Playboys. So I
Why did you go to Tuckles again?
That was where I saw my first Playboy. It was my little brother probably didn't. He wasn't into it, but I was. He was he's big into gaming, so that was my first. He had like Atari, which was really cool, the little paddleball thing, and he I think he was sleeping, and he just set me on the computer and then Jake on the Atari, and like we'd be, and then he had the old DOS style computer and with the floppy disk, and then we played Wolfenstein or like he had all these crazy cool games that we've never seen before, Pac-Man, Tetris, all that crazy stuff. But then he had I don't know if he still ever has it. But he had this pinball machine where you
Chico.
Yeah, Jinko.
The balls.
Yeah, the ball. Like he had like all this.
He had balls.
He had all this cool stuff that it was literally every corner there was something cool in his apartment, but it was really fun. And my dad said earlier, the gifts, he was very thoughtful on his gifts. He'd always give you something that you needed or you can read or something that you wouldn't just play with and throw away. Like they gave me an autobiography of Nolan Ryan, which was like really cool. He gave us gifts up until our 18th birthday, and then he had when you have to keep it for 18 years and cashier's thing or treasury. Like when you can only cash it when you're 18.
Savings bond.
Yeah, he got us one of those when we were born, and he gave it to us on our 18th birthday, which was a pretty cool thing. And he'd give you like collectible coins, things that you would have to keep that you couldn't just play with. So he was always real thoughtful in that aspect. I'm trying to think of the other story. Oh, and then this is a fun one. So when me and my wife got married about 13 years ago, him and Brooke came to the wedding, and he rolled up to me on his little knee scooter, and he came up and he gave me an envelope, a big yellow envelope, and he gave it to me. He said, "This is Soprano style." And so he gave me an envelope for you give money to the people. And he gave me the thing. He's like, "Put it in your jacket." So I thought that was pretty cool. But we're gonna miss him. He's my only uncle, and he was cool. He's just a cool guy, and he just did his own thing. I actually ran into him and Brooke at a bar when I was back in my wild days running around town, and they were doing trivia over on 610 over there by where the old summit was, and I ran into him in a bar, which was kind of funny. But yeah, he was just a cool uncle. He did what he wanted to do, and he'll be missed. So. Well, hopefully the Coogs pull it off tomorrow.
Yeah. Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you. So also for those of you who don't know, I helped produce a little show. Now it's at the Continental Club. It used to be down here at Red Deer. It's been down there at Red Deer, but now it's at the Continental Club. It's called Grown Up Storytime. So and Jim, he broke. He was one of the people who submitted a story that was actually one of the shortest stories we've ever received, but it was also just very effective. If you have, all I'm here to say is if you have stories of Jim or if you have stories in general, please, we want to hear them. I also thought definitely cool. He was a cool stepdad, but definitely cool uncle. Uncle jokes was like a thing that he was a master of. And I did want to draw attention to the fact that when my mom and I were trying to figure out what vessel is going to hold Jim in his eternity, I do think we nailed it. I think he's got the coolest urn there ever was. So that is what that is there. We thought it'd be a little creepy to bring it to the bar, so there's a photo.
No, it's not.
There you go. All right, well, I'm going to share, so we had some folks who couldn't be here today, so I'm going to share some remembrances from them. And speaking of the Houston Chronicle, this is from one of his coworkers, Sheila Coates. In the early days of digital journalism at the Houston Chronicle, I crossed paths with Jim in February 1978 when I joined as a first shift editorial computer operator. He worked the challenging third shift during a transformative period for the newsroom. The Chronicle was pioneering its first editorial system, transitioning reporters from beloved typewriters to unfamiliar CRT terminals. The staff resisted change, particularly the veteran journalists, but we gradually guided them through the technological evolution. Our role involves supporting reporters with terminal issues and managing system complications. Despite the critical nature of our work, downtime was inevitable. Jim, ever resourceful, brought in a beta machine with hidden movies, and we would occasionally indulge in reading unpublished reporter notes and stories too intense for print. An unexpected education for two young professionals. I was 21, and Jim was younger. One memorable morning, I discovered Jim asleep on the computer room table. A moment that still brings me a smile. He quickly rushed off to his University of Houston classes, ships passing in the night. Years later, we transitioned to the IBM mainframe operation, managing complex business systems. We adapted, grew, and eventually became mainframe system analysts. The newspaper's ownership shifted from Houston Endowment Organization to Hearst Corp, bringing political challenges and inevitable layoffs. Though technological changes and corporate restructuring ultimately let Jim, then me go. Unfortunately, I cannot be here to share stories with you all today due to recovering from a knee replacement. So vicariously, I am lifting my glass to you, Jim, my work buddy for 30 years.
Kids have anything else?
All right, and now I believe we will have some remarks. You ready? You ready? Yeah.
No pussy jokes? Come
All
on.
the uncle jokes.
All right. Sorry. There we go.
Well, we're all here today because of something that started actually on Pearl Harbor Day in 1995, which is when I walked into Catbirds for the first time. Blair and I had been helping her father down the street. It was the Westheimer Art Festival, and he sold buttons and bumper stickers and T-shirts. And Barbara Gelly came by and said, "Oh, Catbirds was open, and they just gotten their liquor license. And so, did we want to stop by?" And we did. And so I came in, and I think we were probably the only customers at the time. But she had this trivia game set up, and she told me she was going to get trivia for if she actually did go ahead and get a bar going. But I always thought it would be like one of those, things that like sat on the bar and you put in quarters, and it's kind of like, oh, okay. Well, I guess maybe that'll get people. I don't know. I had no idea. It was this wonderful system where you could play against people all across North America. And you could play with other people at your bar, and you could play against other people at your bar if you didn't like them. But it was just, and you had immediate, satisfaction in the sense you got a question right, you knew you got your point. And if you're somebody who, like me, is very easily addicted to things like this, I did get addicted. But I fought that addiction. I did come in every once in a while. It was fun, but it really, I guess, hadn't taken hold until it was some day in September when Barbara told me that there was a guy who had been coming in on Wednesdays. I usually came in on Tuesdays. I wasn't doing well at Showdown playing by myself. I think nobody other than Doc actually was good at that. But I thought, well, yeah, it'd be nice to play with somebody. I mean, usually it was me and the bartender, if anyone, because there was no idea of a team or anything like that yet. So I said, okay, well, let's see who this guy is who comes in on Wednesdays. And the next Wednesday, I sitting at the bar right in front of the screens and all that. And I turn, I hear the door opening, and then this big guy lumbers in. And I don't know what Barbara told him about me, but clearly he was expecting to see me because he sat down, maybe not the stool next to me, but certainly no more than one stool over, which is really not something most people would do, no matter, even take out the gender thing, when you're the only two people in a bar. So he sits down, and of course we start talking and we start playing together. When you're playing trivia with somebody, you learn so much about them because you learn what they're good at, what they're interested in. Even if, like me, you're introverted and small talk with strangers is not your thing, it's so easy. You see a question and you think about some connection you have to that subject matter, or you just, how did you know this particular answer? And you just start talking. And Jim was so extroverted. I mean, he could talk with anyone about anything. So it was so easy to talk to him, and had a very good time playing together. All that. And at the end of it, I don't remember if I actually told Barbara, but I know I told myself, "Oh, such a great guy, just not my type." Well, I'm not very good at judgments, obviously. Because I kept coming back, and he kept coming back, and that was Wednesdays. So back then we were playing Passport, and we weren't terribly good at that. Really needed for Betty Ramsey to come along one summer and help us get a good Passport team going. But we continued talking with each other, and then we discovered something kind of remarkable. I was passing out flyers for my 40th birthday party, and he took one, and he said, "Well, that's my birthday too." And I kind of looked at him, the way, especially women look at guys, like, "You're right." So he actually got his driver's license out of his wallet and showed, and yes, we do share a birthday, not the same year. I don't say which direction it went, but we did share a birthday, and he came to the party and all that. And then we just, a friendship grew, and friendships then turned into something else, despite one's first impressions of whether someone is, your type or not. And from that, we started just spending a lot more time playing trivia. Before, I think it had been fairly casual for him. He'd go maybe after work, maybe on weekends, and it had been super casual for me. But the more we played together, the more we wanted to play together. So soon Wednesday became Tuesday, and it's Showdown. We started building a Showdown team, the one that won the MacArthur Cup eventually. And then, on Fridays, you got Spotlight, and Jim was so good in entertainment, pop culture. He knew all those movies. He knew all the TV shows. He'd watched so many things multiple times. He would get kind of annoyed with me. He would start telling me about some quotation from a movie or something that maybe I had seen once 30 years ago. And no, I couldn't remember it, but he could. So we did the Friday, and then we both liked music, and we both liked doing karaoke, though actually he was the one that really got me into it. I'd done it very casually before. He'd been doing it for years. So it was, Saturday was a good karaoke night, and Vine playing playback, and it was a really good evening. So for a while there, we were going out at least 4 nights a week, and sometimes even hitting Thursdays for 6. We didn't really get into the sports. I know it was Sports IQ on Monday, and there was the sports on Sunday, the classic game. But no, we only did that if it was like a tournament game where you had to play all of the games or something in order to have any chance at it. And we didn't just play here. We mostly played here back then. But we played many places around town, many different teams that kind of evolved over the years. And then we played a lot of places across the country. We played in Chicago at Teasers. Played with Little Joel out in San Diego. Played in Sarasota, where we found people who knew folks from SRO, knew Tim Richardson, played under Dingo. We just run into people who would know other people. And the trivia world, especially the NTN, now Buzz Time trivia world, was really small. And we had so much fun doing that, and met so many people, put names to faces, because you'd know them, seeing their scores on the board. For a while, there was an NTN forum that I was one of the moderators of, and so you knew them from their discussions there. There was, of course, Bad Bart, where a lot of people got together. That still lives on as a Facebook group. And it was just such a great way to meet folks. And so then we started doing some live trivia, mostly here in town, which is Griff's, but we ended up, wherever we went, trying to find a live trivia game. So we played, well, let's see, in Canada, in Vancouver, a couple of times, Victoria, Australia, in Sydney, and Auckland, in New Zealand. And whenever we went outside of the country, we only had one goal, which was don't come in last. And when you're playing against people and they know all the soccer things and all the Australian rules, football and all that, that's really hard to do. But I'm happy to say we did. Now, unfortunately, things come to an end, and Jim had struggled with health problems, starting not too long after I first met him, where he was diagnosed as being diabetic, and that led to all kinds of foot surgeries. He was always getting bone infections. He had to do IV antibiotics and all that. One time he had this thing called the wound vac that had to do continuous operation. And I can remember us sitting right there in our usual seats, here and there, with the wound vac right there, making all kinds of weird noises. It was almost like it was commenting on how we were playing or something like that. I almost did a short story called, the wound vac and me, because I really felt like we were in some sort of relationship. But and some of those resolved, two did not. We had the major surgeries in 2010 and 2016 where he ended up having to use prosthetics. But he still got around and all that, and I was particularly proud of the second one because the original surgeon he had on that one had told him, well, it doesn't make any difference, where I do the surgery, because at your age, you will never walk again. And Jim was 57 at the time. And I came so close to sending that surgeon a photo of Jim when we were cruising Antarctica, looking out at the penguins on the glaciers, because that guy was just, nuts. And I'm very happy. Yes, I got him fired and replaced by somebody who had no problem whatsoever doing the surgery that would allow Jim to continue walking, and he did. But then it all kind of caught up with us, I guess. But I kind of think that there were like three alternative worlds then into parallel worlds and all that. And there were kind of three different ways that Jim could have left us. And he could have so easily left us in June of 2021, because it was very close to what happened just recently. He had this infection that they couldn't figure out what it was. It caused him to have pneumonia, caused him to be septic, caused him to go on a ventilator. And it was one of those things where every time I walked into his ICU room, whatever medical personnel would walk in next or were already there would just tell me on this one day that if he goes into cardiac arrest, we'll try to save him, but we may not be able to. I mean, if I heard that from one person, I heard it from 10. It was like they had a little script and they had to read it before they went into the room so that they could prepare me for what they thought was absolutely going to happen, except it didn't. Jim fought back. He got off of the ventilator. Then there was a question, as there were so many people who suffered from COVID, would he ever fully recover? And the answer is yes, he did. He had some really good rehab, and he could walk. He didn't need a walker, except maybe places with rough ground or something like that. But from what was it, October of 2021, when they actually said he didn't have to stay on the dialysis that they put him in when he was fighting sepsis, he was back to normal. And we had 18 months, I think, maybe 2 years. And then, unfortunately, it happened again. He didn't get sepsis, he got pneumonia, ended up back in the hospital. That was not life-threatening, but the way it had been in 2021, where, I've been told I should prepare to lose him. But it was bad enough that he had to go into rehab and all that, and that rehab was terrible. And after that, he never could walk without using his walker, and he really couldn't walk very far. And then he had to be on dialysis, and this time nothing reversed itself, and he didn't come off of it. And so another infection caught up with him in late January of this year. And he went to when he was taken to the hospital, it was just kind of, at best, holding steady, but mostly downhill all the way. Until they got to the point where they said that there wasn't anything they could do for him. He would never have the life he'd had. And I think I got a very clear response from him when I asked the question as to whether he wanted to remain on the ventilator or not. And he said no, he wanted to leave. So we made that so sad decision, and he left us. Now, the reason I was talking about alternative worlds and all that is I have to admit there was a third one where he is still with us today, and all of this happened sometime in the future. Because what will haunt me to the end of my days is that he could have gone to the hospital a lot sooner this last time around than he did. But he always had this thing where he would not go. He would not go if I told him he needed to go. He wouldn't go if the doctor told him to go. In this case, the dialysis center said on the Friday night, January 24th, that you've missed 4 dialysis sessions. You can't come back here until you go to the hospital and get dialyzed, and you should go now. And so I said, okay, let's go now. And he said, that's Friday night. The ER will be just, filled with people. So, all right, because I had been through this battle before. There is no ambulance in this town that will take somebody who is conscious and doesn't seem to be out of their mind, who says, I don't want you to take me. And yeah, I see Sam over here. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. Blair knows this as well. And I had begged his doctor to give me some sort of thing that would say to the ambulance drivers, his doctor says take him to the hospital no matter what he says. And the doctor said that would be illegal. And we really fought over it. And the doctor just said, no, you're asking me to do too much. So there was nothing I could do to compel him to go to the hospital until he was ready to go to the hospital, or until he was unconscious, or so incoherent that no ambulance driver, because he said like not knowing, what street he lived in, not knowing the day, that kind of thing, not just a little fuzzy or anything like that. Well, anyway, so he didn't go on the Friday. On the Saturday, I said, okay, it's during the day, let's go. And he said, no, he said, I want to go tomorrow. So we got to the next day, and he did allow me to arrange for an ambulance. But by the time the ambulance got there, he was in septic shock. And they couldn't even take him. They had to get 911 to send the paramedics or the fire, thing to do it, because I think they were afraid he was going to die on them on the way there. And after that, they put him on the ventilator at the hospital. I never got to have a conversation with him after that point. And so I really think if he would have gone on that Friday night and he didn't have sepsis, as far as I can tell, he's acting perfectly normally, he would have had at least a much better chance of being here today than he gave himself. So I guess this is, if you know anybody like this, I don't know what to advise you, because the right laws in Texas say that the ambulance driver will not take you. If you can get them to sign you some sort of, medical power of attorney that would let you override their decision, that would be the best thing, you could do. Jim would not give that to me. And so for that's we don't have him. Now the song that Austin will be playing for you next is one. Actually, all of the songs that Austin's playing today, I found on a list on Jim's phone of funeral music. And so I selected 3 to be done live, and the rest of them have been background music. But this song is, I think, particularly appropriate. It's written by Warren Zevon. It was written after he found out that he was dying of a cancer that might have been curable if he had gone to the doctor when he first got an idea that maybe that was so, awesome.
It'll come as no surprise to anyone that the majority of time I spent hanging out with Blair, Brooke, and Jim was around trivia games at Griff's and even on the Star Trek cruise that we went on. But this is a really great song. I'm honored to play it. Thanks. Shadows are falling, running out of breath. Keep me in your heart for a while. If I leave you, does it mean I love you any less? Keep me in your heart for a while. You get up in the morning, see that crazy sun. Keep me in your heart for a while. There's a train leaving at the call when all is said and done. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha-la-la-la-la, la-la-la-la. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha-la-la-la-la, keep me in your heart for a while. Sometimes when you're doing simple things around the house, maybe you'll think of me and smile. No, I'm tied to you like buttons on your blouse. Keep me in your heart for a while. Hold me in your thoughts, take me to your dreams. Touch me as I fall into view. When the winter comes, keep the fires lit, and I will be right next to you. Engine drivers headed north to Pleasant stream. Keep me in your heart for a while. These wheels keep turning, but they're running out of steam. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha la 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 la. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha la 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 la. Keep me in your heart for a while.
Gone from My Sight by Henry Van Dyke. I am standing upon the seashore. A ship at my side spreads her white sails to the moving breeze and starts the blue ocean. She is an object of beauty and strength. I stand and watch until, at length, she hangs like a speck of white cloud just where the seas and sky mingle with each other. Then someone at my side says, "There, she's gone." Gone where? Gone from my sight. That is all. She is just as large in mass, hull, and spar as she was when she left my side, and she is just as able to bear her load of living freight to her destined port. Her diminished size is in me, not in her. And just at that moment, when someone says, "There, she's gone," there are other eyes watching her coming, and other voices ready to take up the glad shout, "Here she comes!" And that is dying. Oh, yeah, but I don't have. Been leading off the memories of tree players. When I got to just this day. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, this is from James Lancaster, or as he sometimes calls himself now, Jacques Lancaster. He is remembering the time when we were all at getting such bad service at Coach's that Jim wanted to bring one of his spare legs to wave it around to get attention from the server. And yes, I remember that night. I remember how bad the service was. And I remember that although Jim never did bring one of his prosthetics, although he did have the left one as a spare, he did get this hat that had these weird pulsing lights on it. I think they were red and green and blue. And so he started putting that on and making it all light up whenever he wanted service. And yeah, he got a little attention, but you know, Coach's is closed, and then the successor burned down. So I don't think either the leg or the hat would have worked and saved that. All right, and now we have.
We're going to trade off reading some memories. This one's from Steve Perry. He says, "Jim was one of the very best quizzers that I've ever met, and I have met countless numbers through my travels around the world. Our Houston teams were legendary, and when we were united, we were unbeatable. I'm sorry that he is no longer with us, but I know he went peacefully, with his family at his bedside. May his memory always be a blessing.
All right, this one's from Patricia Caspitz. I always think of Jim as he exuberantly played trivia on Tuesday nights. His commentary always made the games more fun.
From Bill Gardner, we played from afar, but I did have the opportunity to meet Jim in person. When you meet people that you have known online for years and then in person, everything changes one way or the other. It's 3:20 a.m. here in the Philippines, and I'm lost for an expression to capture what I want to say. You and he accepted each other into your lives, easygoing, but don't underestimate. I thoroughly enjoyed our short time together, but let me say, I gathered how fragile life is, and at 75, I think about it daily. I was TTL-PKG, but Jim was the real life total package. Please send my regards to the Catbirds crew and lift one.
From Carol Varga, memories of our trivia play nights. We had lots of good times and always enjoyed. It was often that it was just our little band of hard to realize that 3 of them are already gone. From Brandy Bressenhen Craig, I always enjoyed talking to Jim and learning about sci-fi shows and his great smile and laugh.
From Marty Schlechter, it's been more than 25 years since I met Brooke and Jim Coogs. Time flies. To the best of my aging memory, I decided to play trivia at Catbirds after seeing y'all rank from Savages back in the late 90s. Heard that the McCarthy Cup for Showdown was going to be held there and invited Doc to join. Got to meet some great trivia players during that, like DeWiz and Vex and a host of others. Once we won that, I think we decided to gather up together a Houston team of trivia all-stars. Somehow Shuckers was determined to be where we would play. We played very consistently and won our share of games. We also had our ups and downs and schisms, but put Houston on the NTN trivia map as one of the best teams in the country. After Shuckers got rid of trivia, I continued to play with some of the team members at Texadelphia, Knuckleheads, and Sam's Pub Concert Pub. Always Houston was greatly represented by all of us at different locations in Houston throughout the early 2000s. Rest in peace, Coogs, along with Doc, DeWiz, and Dingo. Great memories. Marty, a.k.a. LSU
Tiger.
What is it? LSU Tiger.
Or little Slugger.
My Louisiana brother-in-law is like, get it together, man. Come on.
All right, so I have one last one that was sent in, and then so Catbirds does open at 3:30, like legitimately opens at 3:30. So if you do want to come in and share some memories on the mic, I am going to cut you off after a minute. So just to like keep it going because we have one more song and we just want to make sure we're wrapping things up before the rest of Montrose is invited. So. But here we go. Hi, everyone. Mr. Happy here. Sure would have been nice to see many faces I've seen in a good number of years. Unfortunately, my car of many years, not to mention many miles, is on the ice. I hope everyone is doing well these days. So we're here today to share some memories of our departed friend, Jim Wright. For those of us in the NTN Buzz Time Trivia world, we knew him as Coogs. Well, I would have to say Jim was pretty much the inspiration for kickstarting my going about to the many NTN Buzz Time locations in the Houston area, made significant showings in the rankings after every game played. I first met Jim while playing at Mulligan's up in Humble, where I first started playing NTN Buzz Time Trivia. He was sitting with a group of locals playing Tuesday's Night Showdown. I was invited by the group to join in. Then sometime later, as my place in the trivia world began to take shape and took more notice of the rankings, I saw a Houston location called Catbirds claim the #1 spot for a few games. Then I happened to notice Coogs as the player representing the individual scores. So I just had to take a ride down one day to check it out there and re-hook up with Jim. I guess it was around that time I would meet Brooke and some of the other players there. So began my venturing to all the other locales, and the rest is history. While many here may have associated Jim with Showdown, I thought I'd add him and Brooke to the game I was probably best known for, Saturday night's music trivia game, Playback. A good number of times I'd trek down to Catbirds, or sometimes they'd come up to Mulligan's, or we would all meet up at any of the other well-known venues, or even pick a random unknown location that catered to NTN Buzz Time. had our respective locales been malfunctioning. I do remember all those boxes malfunctioning. One helpful music forte on Jim and Brooke's part was show tunes. One particular question that stood out was during the trivioki round for the song Fit as a Fiddle. Jim randomly called a number and we followed suit. He found himself reciting the lyrics just as the final clue came up to deliver the answer with a hey, nani, nani, and a ha cha cha. We were fortunate to get the full 1,000 points. Jim was also the subject of one of my playback recaps, which documented the game, the ongoings at the venue played, and some of my off-the-wall sense of humor. One game, we were hit with a final question we had no clue to. I was playing multiple boxes, but having pretty good scores up until then, I didn't do an all-around split in hopes of making some kind of dent in the rankings. This led me to adding a writer's embellishment, done in the vein of David Letterman's old late-night skit, Brush with Greatness, and partially inspired by a journal entry from Henry Rollins' book, Get in the Van. The next thing I know, I'm knocked off my bar stool onto the floor. Coogs is all the while pummeling my face while shouting, "You had all of those boxes going and you couldn't even split on one of them?" Eventually, I managed to get up and go to the bathroom to straighten out my face. Did a pretty good job. My nose only goes slightly to the left. Of course, that didn't happen. However, my nose is slightly messed up, but that's from two different other situations. Finally, I guess one thing from Jim that will always resonate with me was the one Saturday night we played at the Tavern on Gray. I invited my mom and dad along to take part in one of my favorite things to do, and I introduced my folks to Jim and Brooke, and the game got underway. During a break in the game, Jim asked, "So how did you end up with him?" So yes, we will all miss you, Jim. Wherever it is your spirit takes you, may you make perfect scores in peace. All right, and if you have any, just get on up here, and we're just going to keep it short because we got one more song, and then just in case we get lost in the milieu of all the comings and goings, we are going to hang out here. There is food still, and then eventually there will be a karaoke night to be determined at Venus, right? So if you would like more information about when the karaoke night is happening, where I will attempt to sing one of Jim's songs that I personally hated, but he was really good at. So, but I know we have at least one person. Come on.
Hi. An outsider's perspective, in 1998, I moved down to Houston to take my first teaching job at Lamar Consolidated. And I had seen for that, I'd worked for a sports bar, Damon's Waterworks, Damon's 4. We were good at NTN, so I knew where to look. My first day, I come here, it's a Friday night, and I see, okay, BW3. I show up, and I'm pretty good. And I see I'm like in 28th place on Spotlight. I did not know that they were having a special Houston thing where every bleeping good player was here. I was ready to quit. And then all of a sudden, this couple, Brooke and Jim, said to me, "Hey, we always go over to this place, Catbirds. Why don't you come over afterwards?" And I have to explain to me. So went over to Catbirds and joined in that world where everybody's only known by up to 6 characters. I was Pike and DNA and Slow Tech and Mojo and Athene and everybody. And what a great time it was playing. And just like three tickets got you a free drink. 15 got you the T-shirt. Sitting there playing, and Jim's pop culture references were amazing. I'm Pike from the Wild Bunch. At one point, we were having a big rivalry with another bar. And I said to Jim, "They'll be waiting for us." And he says, "I wouldn't have it any other way," which is actually Pike's line, by the way. And then just knowing that fair that every Tuesday and every Friday, a young teacher who on his first didn't know anybody, but I would make this trek in for this crew, this community. And I miss Jim, and I love every one of you, and thank you.
Everybody, I'm Mike. I used to sort of one of the original players at Catbirds. I was played under DNA. Doc, my resident associate, when I was at Rice, introduced me to this game. We played established for a while. Then won I guess some national tournament. I think we made a little further than Catbirds, and I see some people come in and it's like, "Oh, who's that?" That's Coogs and Aardvark. I'd never seen them before. I didn't know the real names, but I knew their handles and I knew they were amazing. And I still remember the first time I ever saw them. Yeah, eventually Catbirds closed down. Savages closed down. We moved over here and basically became one of the top bars in the entire country. And although we had a lot of good players here, Brooke and Jim were sold. No matter where I was in my life, I could come here and feel welcome with Brooke and Jim. And it meant a lot for me. And this place was a refuge. I mean, not just emotionally, but physically. Because I remember Brooke telling me the story of Tropical Storm Allison. Brooke and Jim slept on the counter that night, didn't you? Yeah, so this really was our cheers. And Brooke was our norm. Okay. Excuse me. Jim was our norm. So, Jim, you'll be missed.
Is there anyone else? Okay, so we have one last song that truly is the only way to close out a life, truly. And we will be raising a glass. There's a whiskey distillery that I work for called Milam and Green. And I brought their very, very, very specialist bottle of Castle Hill, which is a cask strength whiskey. So I also brought the 86 proof, which is a not cask strength whiskey. But if you would like to join us in a pour of one of those whiskeys, just during this song, I will be passing those out. So come see me, and then we'll raise the glass at the end. And the words for this song, if for some reason you don't know them, which you don't really know why you're here, if you don't know these words, but that, hey, we're learning. It's always learning. But they are in the program, the Blue program. So, and here you go.
We'll see if I do this justice. I'm not sure if there's any other way to do this than with a mild Eric Idle impression. So we'll see if I get good. If not, you guys sing along. The chorus lyrics are in your programs. So let's see. Some things in life are bad. They can really make you mad. Other things just make you sweat and curse. When you're chewing on life's gristle, don't grumble, give a whistle. And this will help things turn out for the best. Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the light side of life. If life seems jolly rotten, there's something you've forgotten. It's time to laugh and smile and dance and sing. You're feeling in the dumps? Don't be silly chumps. Just purse your lips and whistle, that's the thing. Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the right side of life. For life is quite absurd, and death's the final word. You must always face the curtain with a bow. Forget about your sin. Give the audience a grin. Enjoy it, it's your last chance anyhow. So always look on the bright side of death. Just before you draw your terminal breath. Life's a piece of shit when you look at it. Life's a laugh and death's a joke, it's true. See, it's all a show, keep laughing as you go. Just remember that the last laugh is on you. So always look on the bright side of life. I'll always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life. Everyone raise your glasses for Jim Wright.
I think we are. We're still getting a few. Oh, everyone's got one. Okay, yes. Raise your glass to the kindest, the funniest, the coolest stepdad trivia player, badass, Jim Wright Coogs. Cheers. Cheers. Thank you all. We're gonna flip it back to the Catbirds, or do we want to put the playlist? Do we need the playlist, Mom? Okay, we'll playlist for like 5 minutes. Okay.